Hi, my little babies. Welcome back to another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. Just within the first 3 seconds of this video, I saw like 4 pieces of rabbit fluff just float past my camera. I hate this. I hate it. Okay. Hi, my name is Candace. I'm your host. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of What the Smut Book Reviews. I really appreciate it. In today's video, and probably the subsequent videos for the next duration, I don't know how long, I have changed chairs. If you hear any weird squeaking sounds, it's not me farting, it's the chair, okay? I promise you. Take my word for it, okay? Thanks. In today's video, we are gonna be going back to our voyeur series. If you will recall, a couple videos back, I reviewed the first book in Fiona Cole's voyeur series. It was actually called Voyeur. And in today's video, we are actually going to be reviewing book 2 of that series, which is called Lovers. I'll put the cover right here because I don't have the book. Okay. I'm going to give you the deets for the book. I'll have to pull out my phone to read you the blurb because I didn't come prepared. Forgot that part. Of course I did. Of course I did. I forgot something? No. Me? Come on. So we'll do that. And then I will give you guys some quick little details about the book because I'm not going to break down. Instead of breaking me on down. I will not be doing that. Now I want to listen to Mariah Carey. Okay. So this book and all the books in this series, there are 6, I believe, are free to read with KU. If you want to purchase this book for your Kindle, it will cost you $4.99 unless you have points. I don't understand the point system on Amazon. They started doing this a little while back, and I don't, for all the things I buy, I'm getting points now. And then I guess those points can then be used for discounts on other stuff. So it's like a reward system, kind of. I don't know how many points I have, but I buy a lot of shit on Amazon. I'm a hermit. I don't like to go out. If I'm going out, it's because I have to be in the car to drive either my husband or my child around. Other than that, I don't want to go out. I don't want to see people. I don't want to see nobody. Fuck off. Okay. So I do a lot of online shopping. Amazon gets a lot of my money. Even if I'm just talking about books, Amazon gets a lot of my money. Okay? If my husband had any idea how much money was sitting on my bookshelves right now, just in trade paperbacks, I'd be divorced. I'd be divorced. Because I'm over here like, oh, I have my hobbies, you have your hobbies. I read, you game, it's fine. You buy a game for $60 is the price of a new game. That's so expensive. And all I buy are like a book here and there. Low key, I'm buying like 10 books a month at like $20 a pop. Keep that to yourself. If you want to own this book in trade paperback, it will be $14.99. That seems to be the going rate for all the books in this series, at least right now on Amazon. This book is also available in audio. I did the audio. If I'm not mistaken, one of the narrators for this series was Teddy Hamilton. I'm almost positive. And if it's, I don't know if it's just me and the books that I'm choosing to listen to on audio, but I feel like the last 20 books I've chosen have been narrated by Teddy Hamilton. I'm being inundated with Teddy Hamilton voice. I'm almost positive that it's just the books I'm choosing. But it makes it seem like this motherfucker is getting a lot of work. Like a lot. He's everywhere. And I think one of the first times that I heard his voice was when I listened to the audio for The Haunting Adeline, the cat and mouse duet by H.D. Carlton. And I was like, okay, they chose a really good narrator for to play Zaid, because Zaid is a stalker, right? And Teddy Hamilton sounds permanently aggressive. Like, he sounds so aggro all the time. And I'm just like, why are you mad, bro? Why are you so mad? But that was a good fit for him because this guy's a stalker, right? But then I hear his voice in other things where he's supposed to be like softer, I guess, not so aggressive, and he still sounds mad. So I'm not gonna say that I'm tired of hearing his voice, because he does have a hot voice, but I need to get some variety because there's too much Teddy. I'm sorry. I love you, but too much. Can you hear this fucking bird outside? It sounds like a goddamn car alarm. Oh my God. Okay. So allegedly, according to Amazon, this book has 334 pages. I don't have the book, so I can't haggle with them, can I? But we can almost guarantee that it's a lie, because we know Amazon be lying. All right. So let me give you guys let's read the blurb. Okay. And then we'll do some quick little deets. All right. So the blurb for this one says, I loved him first. Jake was my best friend in college, my very straight best friend, until one night he was more. He may have ran after what happened between us, but I never forgot him. When fate puts us in the same place 5 years later, he has a fiancée by his side. Karina is beautiful, driven, and draws my attention almost as much as he still does. A game of truth or dare leads to a wild night and a relationship that has our feelings growing into something bigger than any of us intended. But what happens when our feelings deepen? Can I handle being with two people? If it means I can have him, I'll love them both. Okay, so from the way that sounds, it makes it sound like this is like a Why Choose novel, right? Inaccurate. Dwight Schrute, false. Okay, it does start out that way. And if you have read Give Me More by Sarah Kate, you'll be familiar with this situation. Except for, obviously, Fiona did it first. And there are a few twists that are different in this book versus Give Me More. Now, the main characters for this book, at first glance, appear to be the two main couple, right? Jake and Karina. No. So there's a third party, Jackson. If you read the first book for this series, Voyeur, you will have already met Jackson. Jackson works at Voyeur. He's one of the performers. Now, over the course of however many months between the first book and this book, Jackson has now saved up enough money that he has partnered with Daniel, the owner of Voyeur, to open like a bar called Voy. They have to hire a marketing team in order to, get it up and running, make sure it's successful. Get your mind out the gutter. All right. To make sure that it's successful, they hire a marketing company. The marketing company is run by Jake and Karina. Mostly Jake and Karina's father, if I'm being honest. So Jake and Karina are engaged. They're in a relationship. Their fathers started this marketing firm together. Jake's father has since passed away. Karina's father still works there, still runs the show. Jake has taken over his father's half of the business. Karina works there, but she's constantly being demeaned by her father in terms of like, her father has like this very archaic, like chauvinist attitude. He's not a bad guy, but you can tell like he was raised in another age, right? Okay. So Karina and Jake grew up together as kids, obviously. Their fathers were business partners and friends. So they were always friends. And then one night, out of the blue, Jake shows up and just like basically attacks her sexually in like the copy room of their office. The reason is because of Jackson. Now, Jake and Jackson were friends in college. They became very close friends in college. One night on a dare, they kissed. It was like one of those drunken frat type friends hangout type parties, right? And they were playing Truth or Dare, and one of the other guys there thought it would be funny, haha, Jackson is openly bisexual. Jake appears at first glance straight as an arrow. One of the guys thought it would be funny. I want you to kiss. Jake was known for never turning down a dare. He always rose to the occasion. No pun intended. So they kissed. They had a moment. It was like for Jackson, I think he had feelings for Jake before that. But obviously those feelings he knew would never be realized because he knew Jake was straight. When this kiss happens, Jackson kisses him, Jake kisses him back. And they have like their moment. And for Jake, this is like, oh, whoa, what did I just feel? Why did I enjoy that? I have to pretend like I didn't when this is over. Oh, bro, no. Right? Okay. So later on that night, Jake is hammered. He's gotten plastered drunk to try and forget about the kiss. And he doesn't have like a ride back to his own dorm or wherever it is. So one of the guys tells him, hey, this other dude's out of town. You can crash in his room. It's across the hall from Jackson's. He gets the wrong room, right? He goes in there and Jackson's like, no, you don't want to go into the room across the way. Like, I know there's a couple in there having sex. You can just sleep here. It's fine. And at first Jake is uncomfortable, like, because of the kiss. But Jackson's like, I'm not going to molest you. Chill out. So they like, start getting ready to go to sleep. And then they have another moment, which leads to him letting Jackson give him a blowjob. He enjoys it immensely. He is now thoroughly freaked out when he wakes up the next morning. They fall asleep together, like holding each other type fall asleep. And from the first moment, I was like, all right, I'm invested in this. One thing that I should mention, I don't do a lot of male-male romance intentionally. If it's part of a series and it comes along that there's a male-male like book in there, obviously I'm going to read it because love is love. And once I get attached to the characters, it doesn't matter what gender they are. If I'm emotionally attached to you, I'm invested. But I don't go out of my way to to seek out male romance. Like a lot of people, like that's one of your favorite tropes, not trope, but you know what I mean. It's one of your favorite type things. I don't put myself out there to get male recs, right? If I find one, I will. If somebody preaches about it enough, I will read it. But I don't go out of my way, right? And just like with Sarah Kate's Give Me More, I find myself in these type situations where there is I'm a man and I'm in love, secretly in love with my best friend, but I have a girlfriend or I have a wife or I have whatever, a fiance, whatever. It's like catnip. I want these two to be together. She can fuck off. Fuck off into space. These two belong together. They've needed to belong together since the time that they met. I'm invested. All right. So the same thing happened in this book. Jake freaks out, and the next time Jackson sees him around campus, he has a girl on his arm, and he goes out of his way to make sure he's always dating someone, or that he's giving the appearance that he is straight, right? Okay. Then shortly after that, he basically just ghosts Jackson because he's so awkward and uncomfortable about the situation, and he doesn't want to admit his feelings from what happened. He just ghosts him. Fast forward, I think it's like 3 years later. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's like 3 years later. And Jackson has reason to be in his marketing office. Jake sees him, and in an attempt to get away from Jackson, he runs into Karina in the copy room and attacks her because he has all of this pent up sexual aggression. But for Jackson, not Karina. But she takes the brunt of it. Like she gets it instead of Jackson getting it, which I hate, which I hated. From that point on, their relationship is irrevocably changed. Fast forward 2 more years later, they're engaged. And Jake has just come to the realization that Jackson is going to be the point guy that he's going to have to deal with in order to have this case, in order to have this account for the opening of the bar, right? At first, he's like, oh shit. Then they have like a little heart-to-heart kind of in, like they go out for drinks. And they have a little heart-to-heart where they're just like, can we at least go back to being friends? It doesn't have to be more. But Jackson, God, I loved him so much. Jackson is still so in love with him that even 5 years later, he would rather take friendship than nothing, just for the sake of having Jake in his life. And Jake's like, okay, fine, we'll try and be cool about this, and we'll try and just be friends, right? It kind of works for a minute, and then it doesn't. Karina is a very ballsy, take no prisoners type bitch. And she, from the jump, she recognizes that there's something missing from her relationship with Jake. They are really compatible sexually, and when they have sex, it's great. But emotionally, there's something missing. And after a night at Voyeur, where they, without Jackson knowing, watch him in a performance, and Jake spends more time watching him than he does watching Karina. Karina confesses to Jake that my fantasy would be to be with two guys. Karina pushes for Jackson to be invited into their bed. She doesn't realize what she's doing. She's oblivious. Jake, at first Jake is like, no, like, whoa, what? You want to do what now? Secretly, on the inside, he's going, this is the excuse that I need to explore this further. Jake has like a hang up about the possibility of him being bisexual or gay or whatever. Prior to his father's death, it was his father's wish that he marry Karina, pop out some babies, and carry on the dynasty, right? The tradition of the family owning the business. Okay? Obviously, Jake can't do that if he's in love with a man. I mean, he could adopt, he could do whatever, but bloodline-wise, he can't, right? So his father's now gone, and he has this like weird thing where he just, it's like this, almost like it was his dad's deathbed wish, like you know what I mean? Like he asked for this on his deathbed. I have to fulfill this prophecy for him. It's like that. So he can't, in his mind, he can't be gay. He can't be bisexual. He has to marry a woman. He has to have children. He has to carry on the family name and the business. But his feelings become more and more entangled after Jackson enters their relationship. Karina thinks, oh my God, this is the greatest. We found the missing piece. Jake is opening up more. Jake is right, blah, blah, blah. She doesn't realize that this entire time that this is happening, that it's pushing Jake and Jackson closer together. Jackson, don't get me wrong, Jackson loves her. And over the course of like the book, he develops feelings for Karina as well. But he's not in love with her. He's in love with Jake. So for a good portion of the book, they're basically a threesome together. And they do it, they're doing everything together, right? But it becomes very apparent after a while that Karina starts to notice a pattern where now, anytime I want to be intimate with Jake, Jackson has to be there. Otherwise, Jake will avoid it. He'll find an excuse. He'll find a reason not to come over, or because they don't live together. They live in the same apartment building, but they live on different floors. So Jackson will have to come over, and at Jake's behest. Jake will be like, yeah, let's see what Jackson's doing. He can join us. And Karina in her mind is going, I'm at the point now where I don't want him to join us. We should be able to be intimate on our own, just the two of us, the way that it will be going forward after Jackson is no longer part of this picture. In Jake's mind, Jackson will always be in the picture. Like his emotions are invested. He's secretly in love with Jackson, but he's still putting on the front of being straight to everyone else. There are multiple times throughout the book where I wanted to strangle the fuck out of him, because he would be out somewhere with Jackson and someone would make a comment about the possibility of them being together or whatever the case may be, even down to Jackson's own brother. Jackson has a little brother who's disabled, and he like routinely throughout the book goes and visits his little brother, who's in like physical therapy and stuff, like trying to walk again. Now, he takes Jake with him to one of these visits, and even to Jackson's brother, he denies that they are a thing, that they have anything going between them, that there's even the remote possibility that he's bisexual and that he's with Jackson. And he's so vehement about it every time because you can tell he's freaking out that someone's gonna think I'm gay. And it hurts Jackson every time. And throughout these points, I literally was like, you motherfucker. Stop it. Stop hurting my baby. I will end you. I love Jackson so much. Can you tell? So they end up going to the opening of Voy. It's like a big thing, right? A lot of people have been invited. It's black tie. Everybody looks great, right? Karina sees something pass between the two of them. And this is after her and Jake have drifted apart emotionally. Like, they don't no longer have sex, just the two of them. If Jackson's not involved, Jake doesn't want it. And she realizes that she's come to the conclusion it was a mistake. Like, internally, it was a mistake to invite Jackson into our bedroom. Because now Jake feels, at first it felt like we were getting closer. Now he feels further away than ever. But it's still not up until this point when she realizes, oh fuck, he's in love with Jackson. She sees an interaction between the two of them from across the room. Like, they're across the room from each other. And she sees them have like an exchange between the two of them. And she can see it in his eyes. And she knows, oh my God. It hits her like a freight train. Oh my God. He's in love with Jackson. And Jackson's clearly in love with him. And before she can completely break down, she bolts. She ends up at a bar, another bar, drinking her sorrows away with like tequila or something, where she's approached by a man, a slightly older, distinguished man, who he doesn't pick her up, right? He's not like blatantly trying to pick her up, but he offers to fuck the sad out of her, basically. And in doing so, he basically gives her like a little pep talk about how beautiful she is, how worthy she is, how clearly this guy is not the one for you, because no way, if you were mine, would I let you sit down here drinking alone, right? And by the end of the conversation, she feels much better, and she kisses him in like her drunken reciprocation of her gratitude, right? After that, she doesn't see him again. And she goes back to her apartment. While that's happening with Karina and the guy in the bar, Jake and Jackson are still at Voy. They go into the bathroom together and get caught in the middle of a sexual by Daniel, right? Daniel, the owner of Voyeur. Daniel's not shocked. Daniel's not stupid. Daniel's very intelligent, and he has seen this coming from a mile away. So he's like, okay, it's no big deal. I don't care. But Jake full-blown freaks out and bolts, runs, and avoids Jackson for days. Karina, in turn, is avoiding him. Eventually, Jackson shows up at his place. with the intention of making him confront what's going on between the two of them. Jackson tells him, I'm in love with you. Jake falls apart. Admits that he loves Jackson too. They end up having sex, just the two of them. Jake feels so guilty about it, though, that after the fact he goes to Karina and he confesses everything. Karina falls apart. But she resents the two of them for falling in love with each other. But at the same time, Jake is her best friend and she wants him to be happy, even if it's not with her. So she's somewhat magnanimous about it, but you can tell she still harbors resentment. And that carries over even into her own book, which is not the next one, but the one after. Now, so then Jake goes to Jackson to get everything out in the open and lay all their cards on the table. It's while Jake is there that Jackson gets a phone call that his brother has had I guess it's like an aneurysm from refusing to go to PT. And they both rush to the hospital. While they're there, Jake runs into a friend from work. And when the guy looks at him, between him and Jackson, Jake is like, right? And it's at this moment when he really needs him and he's not there. That's the breaking point for Jackson. And Jackson essentially pulls away from him and is like, I can't do this with you anymore. I can't. He avoids Jake like the plague. Obviously, later on, Jake comes back and makes amends. And they end up together. Long story short. Because it's not short, because I've been here for 40 minutes. Fuck's sake. So, long story short, Jake, in a big grand gesture, shows up at Voy and places a big old smooch right on Jackson's face in front of everyone. And it was at this moment where I was like, it's almost identical to what happened at the end of Give Me More, except for it was a sex club instead of a bar. And I saw distinct similarities, but obviously the rest of the plot was different. Now, in the beginning, I hated everyone except for Jackson. I loved Jackson, which is very funny because I wasn't attached to him in the first book. But when it got into this book, I was very attached to Jackson. And I hated both Jake and Karina. For the majority of the book, I disliked Karina. And I think that was just because internally, it was the same. Again, I make parallels between the two. It was the same as when I read Give Me More. I wanted the two guys to end up together and she was in the way. And I think that made me it turned me off of the main female character for the book. I'm sorry, Karina. I'm sorry, Fiona. But no, I hated her. I also, because I was doing the audio, something about the female narrator's voice. She's a very good narrator, but she narrates very slowly. Like she takes long pauses in between every sentence. And it made it seem like her dialogue was like a little bit draggy. Now, again, I think it was just a bias on my part of wanting Jake and Jackson to be together that caused me to dislike her so much. But I did. I disliked her a lot. And for a good chunk of the book, in and out, dispersed, I disliked Jake because he was hurting my baby Jackson. Towards the end of the book, I got better. I became okay with him again. But yes, anyway, so that's basically how the book ends. For the rating for the book, I would give it a solid 9. I did like it a lot. I became very emotionally invested in Jake and Jackson's relationship. TBH, Karina could take a hike. At the end of the book, Jake ended up with who he should have ended up with. And it ended the way I would have wanted it to end. If this had been a true, like, Why Choose novel and he had been with both of them, I probably would have been very pissed off. I would have been mad. Which is funny because in the Salacious Players Club, I was perfectly fine with the three of them ending up together. Because by the end, I had gotten more attached to Isabel. In this book, I never got that way with Karina. I knew from the jump that I wanted it to just be those two. And that's what happened. And so I was like, all right, good. Good. So anyway, yeah, an hour later, here we are. I would recommend this book to other people. I would recommend this series to other people. I'm now up to the last book, book 6. Yes, book 6. I just finished book 5. Clearly you can see I'm behind in reviews. But I just finished book 5. And I would definitely recommend the series to other people. I'm enjoying it. I like it a lot. So, yeah, I think that's it. I thank you guys so much for joining me for another video. If you enjoyed this video, if you like me and you like my channel, please consider subscribing. I will really appreciate it. If you would like, you can follow me on social media. I am very active on Instagram. I am not active literally anywhere else. But I do have a members only Facebook group and a Twitter. I will link them all in the description box below, and I'll put a little banner here on the screen for you guys to see. If you are interested in checking out some of my bookish merch, I do have a Teespring shop, which I will also link below and put here on the screen for you guys to see. And I think that's it. I love you guys so much, and I thank you so much for joining me for another video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Okay? I love you so much. Bye! Okay, let's get this party started, shall we? Okay. Every time I say it, and every time I fuck up and I don't do it. This time I mean it. What's Candace about to say? I'm gonna try and keep this video short. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Hello. How are you? I hope everyone is good. My hair is straightened. Straight AF. And it looks straight as straw, and it feels like it too. If you hear any squeaking sounds or weird noises, I promise you I'm not farting. It's my chair, okay? I have, oh look, fucking up my backdrop. Look, okay. I stole my work chair from the other room because I'm tired of sitting on a hard ass wooden surface. So yeah, here we are. Okay. Let's jump straight into it. I've been super congested, so I just like literally blew my lung out through my nose. And my ears have popped and like they won't pop back. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm trying to say? They're like, I feel like I'm like talking into a hole. Okay, rabbit fluff in my eye, motherfucker. Okay. All right. Let's just get... Lord Jesus Christ. Candace, get your shit together. Here we go. Make sure our lipstick. Nothing on our teeth. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, if you want... Why does it say Fiona Cole Lover Series? That is incorrect. Inaccurate. What is it Dwight does? False. False. Okay. See all 6 books in this series. Okay. Okie dokie. Here we go. Okie dokie. Here we go. Okie dokie. Here we go. All right. I'm going to clip all this out. It doesn't matter. Okay. I don't want reviews. I want the product description. Okay. Here we go. All right. So from that point on, their relationship, Jake and Karina's relationship, is irrevocably changed. Irrevocably? Irrevocably. Their relationship is irrevocable. Oh, fuck you. Irrevocably. Would it be one of my videos if I wasn't interrupted by a rabbit drinking water? Would it? Okay.